Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over how to win more of your build fights in Fortnite. No matter how much the game changes over time, being able to consistently win build fights will always be such an important skill to have. So what I want to do with this video is cover some specific situations that a lot of players commonly struggle with in build fights. I'll try to make sure that the tips in this video aren't super advanced or incredibly situational, because I want to make it so that they'll be helpful in a lot of the build fights you get into, and also so they'll be helpful to a wide skill range of players. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so the first point that I really want to hammer home in this video is the importance of being able to track enemies in a build fight. If I were to ask you right now, what are some of the most important skills that make someone a really good builder in Fortnite, you'd probably immediately think of someone like FaZe Sway or any other crazy good builder, and then say things like really fast 90s, or creative and effective high ground retakes, or super fast edits to confuse their opponents. And to be fair, all of those are very valid points, and pretty much all of the best Fortnite builders out there do all of those things very well. But I'd also argue that being able to track and constantly know where enemies are in build fights is just as, if not more important than all of those other individual things I just named. Is it as flashy or cool to watch? Definitely not. And that's probably why it doesn't get the attention that it truly deserves. But if you always know where your enemy is in these build fights that can easily get super chaotic, you'll always be able to make the correct play. And on the flip side, if you can make your enemy lose track of you, then you now have the element of surprise, which enables you to do so many different things. I mean, take a second and think about this. Why is high ground so advantageous in Fortnite? Although there's a few different answers to that question, probably the biggest advantage of high ground is that it makes it so much easier to track enemies. Being levels above the enemy or enemies you're fighting gives you a much better vantage point, and it enables you to see them from angles that won't allow them to see you from their position of low ground. And speaking of holding a position of high ground, I want to talk about one specific super common situation in build fights that so many players struggle with, and I get asked about this all the time. A lot of players don't really know what to do when they establish high ground and they know that an enemy is somewhere below them, but they can't actually locate exactly where they are. Maybe they're just straight up hiding, maybe they're turtled in a 1x1 healing up, maybe they're waiting to try a low ground peek shotgun shot. The specifics don't really matter, you just know they're below you, but you don't know where. In that situation, since you don't have a line of sight on your enemy, it really negates the biggest advantage of even having high ground in the first place. And if anything, you may even be in a worse situation than the player hiding below you, because if another player or team comes along to third party that fight, since you're the one who's out in the open on high ground, you're gonna be the main target. So here's generally what you should do in the scenario that I just described. If you know your opponent is definitely below you, but you can't locate them, don't give up high ground right away. Your plan A should basically be to move around a little, try to find some new angles or lines of sight to look from, shoot some of the structures below you that the player may be hiding in. Basically, anything that gives you a chance of locating them or baiting them into showing themselves without you needing to give up high ground. If you do all that and the enemy is still hiding after maybe 10 to 15 seconds of waiting, you need to move to plan B. Clearly, in this scenario, the enemy is fully intent on hiding and playing defensive, so you need to understand that high ground isn't helping you anymore, which is actually a difficult thing to come to terms with for a lot of players, and now you need to go on the attack and bring the fight to them. The way you do this is by safely dropping down, maybe even one level at a time, until you're able to locate the enemy. You'll obviously want to use visual clues to do that, as well as relying on sound to detect even the slightest movement. But you also need to be sure that you don't drop down too far, or else it'll give the enemy an opportunity to take high ground over you, and then this whole cat and mouse game starts all over again, except you're the one at a disadvantage this time. So I think that covers probably the most important example of how to track an enemy in a build fight, and also why it's so crucial to do so. Now, let's go over a simple way that you can make an enemy lose track of you. So one mistake that I've noticed a lot of players make is that when they're turtling up and hiding from an opponent, they'll stay inside the same 1x1 the entire time. Obviously, this is much better than just sitting out in the open, but when you build a single box and hide inside of it, it becomes so much easier for the enemy to locate you. That's why whenever a good player needs to turtle up but the enemy is pressuring him, he'll expand outwards and build multiple 1x1s. And I'll just show you guys a quick little clip of what I mean by this in the background right now. When you tunnel outwards like that, you're basically making what looks like multiple 1x1 boxes from the outside. It puts a ton of pieces of cover between you and your enemy very quickly, and until they destroy it all, they won't know which box you're actually inside of. As you saw in that clip, the enemy was pressuring me like crazy in the first 1x1 I built, and if I had stayed in that same 1x1, he probably would have gotten in eventually and likely would have ended up killing me. But because I tunneled outwards, he totally lost track of me, and I was able to heal up without being bothered at all. This is a really important tactic for build fights, and honestly, it's fairly simple to learn how to do. And it's also one of the most common techniques you'll see at top-level competitive Fortnite. The next common situation I want to cover that a lot of players struggle with in build fights is when you've established high ground, but your opponent keeps attempting retakes to try to get it for themselves. It's gotten to a point now where even average players know a variety of effective high ground retakes that keeps them very protected throughout the entire process. So most of the time, you're not just going to be able to sit on high ground and laser the player as they attempt to do some super basic and mostly ineffective retake. Now obviously, there's a bunch of variables in a situation like this, and no two fights are ever really going to be the exact same, but I want to kind of lay out the strategy that I use whenever I find myself in this situation. Your main goal in this situation should be to follow the enemy's general movement while they're attempting any kind of retake, while also being sure to not give up your position of high ground. And what this does is it opens up two different possibilities. The first is that by doing this, you find an angle that allows you to shoot the player directly, preferably with a shotgun. If they're just an average or maybe a pretty good builder, you'll likely have plenty of opportunities to do this as long as you continue to follow them. But if you aren't able to find an angle as you're following them, you want to use your position of high ground to block off their retake attempt with either a floor or a cone. Once you've done that, you want to immediately edit it, go through the hole you made, and then shotgun the enemy. Why this works is because what 90% of players will do when they get blocked off is they'll either turn around or turn to the side, and then immediately begin to build in a different direction. This means that when you go through the edit you made, the player not only won't be facing you, but he'll also have his building menu out. So even if your accuracy is a little bit shaky, you should still be totally fine because the player doesn't even have his weapon out. Another more simple option you always have in situations like this is to shoot out the structures that your opponent's building to do his high ground retake. It's a decent strategy, but just be warned that if you're only focused on shooting, it becomes a lot more likely that the enemy will be able to build over you. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down the comment section below. Just like I did a few videos ago, I want you to rate your build battle skills on a scale of 0 to 10. Are you a 0 out of 10, 10 out of 10, or somewhere in between? Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.